GM, how you doing?
Hello, hello.
Oh, I hear you nice and clear. Let's do a quick mic check for is it Guillaume? Guillaume. Apologies.
Hello, hello. Yep.
Nice.
Can you hear me?
Oh, your voices are so crispy. This is great.
Okay, great. These are the um I think they're like $20 from Apple.
That was a good buy.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. Much better than the wireless ones.
Yeah, they're working fine, man. All right, so we
Awesome.
shall get started in just a couple of minutes. I see people joining in. If you just joined in, bottom right corner, there's a little purple bubble. Click on the little purple bubble, give the space a like, give a little retweet, drop a comment. Always helps with the algorithm. And I'm super excited about this space today. I think there was so much talk about prediction markets and I mean, you guys are building it out, so I'm excited to learn more.
Likewise, likewise. Great pleasure to be on. Thank you.
The
We've
pleasure is
also got
all mine.
Mig. He's a listener right now.
Yeah, I
If you
got
can
him
just move him up.
approved. So hoping he comes up real quick. I'm gonna give all of y'all follows too. There we go. Yeah, if you see these speakers up top with the really cool outcome badge, give them a follow. That's how it works nowadays, right? You got to build a CT audience. Definitely is good for marketing. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I only had about two people following me when I first started building Outcome. Still quite small now, just with 200.
don't
The,
worry,
the
man. Go ahead, Meg.
the the two people was Guillaume and me.
Yeah, indeed.
It's about the friends you make along the way in this space. So now you're at 200, man. It's 100x. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. Only if my trades were also 100x, it would be nice.
Hey, hype is at 42 and a half. I think people are very happy about that. Some incredible news coming out of the Coinbase and Circle team. I think a lot of people are a little sad to see USDH go. But that being said, I think, this is like building Hyperliquid upwards. So super cool news to hear that today. And the price has reacted accordingly.
Yeah, it was quite some big news. I mean, it's quite exciting to see such a big institution uh, put all their cards with Hyperliquid. Obviously, this was a really, really, really big bonus for Hype. Even the token, I mean, I literally opened a long position, been building it up for the past 2 days, so it was quite, it was the perfect time to pump.
Oh, we're gonna call you 100x soon then. All right, well, let's get this spaces started. I'm Zerk, co-founder of RecGang. We run a validator on Hyperliquid, and we run lots of spaces as well. Try to educate the Hype fam about what's happening within the ecosystem. And today, I have the privilege, the honor, the prestige of hosting the team at Outcome.xyz, who've been heads down building prediction markets on Hyperliquid. So super excited to learn more about this. As a reminder, these spaces are recorded and they will be transcribed as well. So you will be able to listen to timestamps and all that good things. But let's get to some quick introductions. Maybe we can start with Geo, Mig, and then Infinity AK. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do at the Outcome team.
For sure. Yeah. Again, thank you for having us. Super excited to be on. So we're the three co-founders of Outcome. I've been super early in the space of Hyperliquid since like late 2023. We actually started out as market makers on Hyperliquid. And then we got into the field of becoming a builder once we saw that prediction markets were sort of taking off. I mean, they were still small when we started. This was about a year and a half ago. But we got super excited about the space and wanted to build a better prediction market for Hyperliquid. But that's a little bit about me. I'll pass it on to Mig.
Yeah, so thank you for having us, Rect. I can already tell this is going to be a fun and interesting conversation for us. We're Hyperliquid maxis, so we love speaking about Hyperliquid, and we're also prediction market maxis, so two birds in one stone. So, like Guillaume mentioned, we were early market makers, and we've known each other for, I would say, almost a decade now. Prior to market making on DeFi, we were also market making on some TradFi assets, and then we kind of fell in love with prediction markets like mid 2024 and kind of shifted our attention. But yeah, I'm also one of the co-founders. I'll pass it to Infinite AK.
Yeah. Again, thank you for having us. I mean, yeah, like Gume said, we were early market makers on Hyperliquid, but before that, we were big in the traditional finance world too. Working with some banking partners. So we've been builders for quite a while, but building on Hyperliquid was something that we've always wanted to do, and given the opportunity when HIP4 was announced, and even way before that, when Hyper EVM first came out, we always knew that we wanted to build a prediction market back when it was still very, very small. And so as soon as we saw the opportunity, we took it. We knew that this is the ecosystem that we wanted to build in, and really, really happy to see the trajectory that it's on. And the position that we are in now.
Nice, very cool. And before we jump into prediction markets, I think everybody wants to talk about that. I love talking about Hyperliquid, and it seems y'all three are very bullish on Hyperliquid. So, what made you guys decide to market make on Hyperliquid and then kind of double down and become builders coming from the TradFi space? I guess that's interesting to see. You chose this ecosystem out of all of them. So maybe Infinity and Meg and Gio, whoever wants to take that one.
Yeah. So to give a little bit of insights, we were actually traders on centralized exchanges before that. So we were trading on like Binance, FTX, and then post FTX crash, we kind of pivoted over to decentralized exchanges, tried out DYDX. So this was in 2023. We tried out DYDX and also Hyperliquid. But during like in 2023, the liquidity on Hyperliquid wasn't actually the best. So we shifted to DYDX for a month, but then moved back over to Hyperliquid. This was like October 2023, when liquidity wasn't there. But the infrastructure itself just worked. Everything was super smooth. And during that time, like the community wasn't that big at all. I mean, we weren't market making for like points or anything like that. It was more about building our reputation in the decentralized exchange space. And then from there on, we pivoted over to becoming builders essentially.
Yeah,
I
it all
just want
makes
to add.
sense. Go ahead, Mig.
Yeah, I just want to quickly add. Like when we were completely market making, I didn't even know points existed, and then we just got an airdrop towards the end of the year. So it was pretty good that we pivoted to Hyperliquid, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems a lot of the builders. I mean, we can talk about Max and Omnia, and there's so many of them that did get an airdrop, hence have decided to double down in the ecosystem. So great to see. I mean, you guys could have just went away, but decided to stick around and build something really cool. So let's get to this prediction markets. I think Meg mentioned that you're a lover of prediction markets. So kind of what came through your heads when they announced this HIP4 thing? Because initially I think this idea was kind of thrown around a little bit. I think the reception was lukewarm initially, but now with Kalshi and Polymarket really popping off, prediction market seems something that is almost inevitable. uh, so yeah, maybe talk me through what made you guys decide to build prediction markets on Hyperliquid.
Was that pun intended? because we like to say the outcome is inevitable. So,
Ah,
so I mean, we looked at the prediction market space, and then in like mid 2024, Polymarket was still relatively small. I mean, the valuation was under $1 billion. Kalshi was basically non-existent at the time. And then when we looked at Polymarket, we saw kind of two key pillars that was um, not tackled in the best manner, and we thought we could probably tackle this in a much better way. But also the fundamentals of prediction markets are just so interesting, and it's the first time where we are actually getting to work on a new financial instrument. I mean, the last time there was a financial instrument being kind of happening in front of our eyes was 80 years ago, like when the options contracts were getting popular. So working on a new kind of financial primitive was just too big of an opportunity for us to not pursue. That's it from my side. I'll let Guillaume and Infinite AK add on to that.
Infinity, maybe you can add a little bit on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Mig said, when we first looked at prediction markets and poly market started to gain some traction there, and we were using it as Mig said, like working on a new financial tool. I mean, is anybody's dream, and then doing it in a way where you start seeing so much success and traction. I mean, maybe we're not there yet, but still, like being here right now, we've come a very, very long way from where we were like 16 months ago when we were first drafting our plans and Hyper EVM wasn't even a thing yet. And so uh, we looked at a few things and we're like, this can be done in a much better way. And you know what? Why can't we do it? And so we knew that we wanted to do something on Hyperliquid, and we knew what we wanted to do, which was prediction markets. And I guess later I would love to share some details about what were the things that we really looked at and were like, we should change this.
Oh,
But
that's beautiful. That was going to be my next question. That's a great segue. I mean, that is really the question here. We know Polymarket, we know Kalshi. I think there's like 50 prediction markets at this point, if
yeah,
some very small ones. So what is the gap that you guys intend to fill? Or I guess what is the product market fit for Outcome versus everyone else?
for sure, for sure. I mean, first of all, like everybody else in the space, they don't really offer anything different than what Polymarket and Kalshi are already offering. And I'm sorry, but you're not going to beat them when your product has nothing special and they've got billions and millions of dollars in backing. And so you need something really different, something that's a serious pain point for users on these platforms, and you need to change it, right? What's been happening recently with Polymarket and Uma, right, is uh, a lot of controversy around how certain markets are resolved. And we thought, how can you have a decentralized prediction market when your resolution mechanism is sort of centralized and it can be swayed with money? And so the first thing that we wanted to tackle was how do we build a decentralized resolution mechanism, a data-driven resolution mechanism, right? So we did that, and then obviously a big unique selling point, which big props to Hyperliquid and thanks to them, was the difference unified margin is going to make to prediction markets right now. I mean, we see MetaMask and other front ends of Polymarket that have perps from Hyperliquid and then Polymarket prediction market. So users' funds are fragmented here. You cannot hedge your position so easily, and unified margin is going to completely change that. And we see if we dominate the HIP4 space, there's no reason why we cannot beat Polymarket and Kalshi.
That's music to my ears. Very exciting. All right. So let's double down a little bit on the first point. So for those that are a little unfamiliar with how Polymarket works, they use this, can I call it resolver, or I don't even want to call it an oracle called Uma, which kind of decides for these very tricky decisions. And I know a few people that are listening to this space that already got wrecked by some questionable decisions. Uh, so you said that data will be able to, you guys are going to be using data to resolve these markets. So maybe could you walk me through how this is going to work technically, as compared to something like Polymarket once more? And
Yeah,
maybe Mig, you want to go, or go ahead, Infinity
yeah.
AK.
Actually, Mig can take this on. Sure.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges for these contracts is trust, right? So you need to understand that you trust where the resolution is coming from, and also the speed of this resolution. So when we looked at that problem, we saw that we can kind of solve this using data. And the way we basically do that is we connect to these trusted data sources. For example, if it's like Fed interest rates, we'll go to the Federal Reserve government website, and then we'll kind of connect to the API endpoints, and then we'll turn that data on chain using SEDA. So then the data is verifiable on chain. You can see where this data was coming from, the whole pipeline. You can see what the output of this data will be. And then from that on chain, we connect it to our kind of smart contracts for resolving the contract. And then it goes from the data to the on-chain setter program to our smart contracts, and it's completely autonomous and decentralized. So like that, we don't have a control of changing the kind of resolution. It goes directly from the data pipeline to the smart contract. When the output is X, then the contract will resolve for X. If it was Y, then it will resolve for Y. That gives you speed, and it also gives you trust. When these high net worth individuals or these large market makers want to come and kind of trade on these assets, they will have full trust that because everything is verifiable on chain, and they can see the complete pipeline on where the resolving underlying is coming from. And we've kind of done this for almost, I would say, 16 months now, and we've resolved more than 1,000 contracts. This has been on the Hyper EVM.
That's wild. Infinity AK, go ahead. You have your hand up. Very Canadian of you.
Yeah. I also want to highlight that we've actually spent so much time and effort into making sure that this system is bulletproof and that our data providers are the top in the world. That there's no doubt about if the data that we're going to receive has any mistake, right? Because at the end of the day, once you resolve a contract, we cannot go back on it. And so, um, and I think a lot of people underestimate actually how much work needs to go into this side of the business on not just securing the partnerships and convincing, let's say for sports, you need to go and convince the top data providers to give you their data in a time where they are being ridiculed for providing data to prediction markets. And then on top of all that, it's super expensive, like ridiculously expensive. And then you have to do that for all the different categories. Now, some are free, like economics, where we have our team uh, uh, scraping the data, right? But a lot of work goes into that and a lot of money and effort. And so, we've been doing this, like Mig said, for 16, 18 months. We've resolved over 1,000 contracts on Hyper EVM, and we are prepared. I mean, we're literally just waiting. As soon as Hyperliquid says go, we will deploy everything.
Oh boy. I mean, you mentioned sports. I didn't even go there yet. So Gio, there must be so many data sources, right? Like, how do you even manage all of these data providers? You guys probably use oracles that are well known in the crypto space, but some of this stuff is obviously, like crypto agnostic almost.
Yeah, I mean, like AK said, you need to connect to verifiable data sources that also work in the space of Web2, right? So when you look at that and you want to make sure that you have the right data sources, you kind of look at their reputation and their track record, right? So we want to always make sure that we have the best sources for football, for soccer, anything that's related to sports and all types of sports and categories in that also. So we essentially just do our due diligence to make sure that whatever we put as our resolution sort of oracle source, it is always the top choice. And there's definitely a lot of work that goes into it, because essentially at the end of the day, each category, from politics, like anything real world events related, all the way to sports and to crypto and TradFi, it's all essentially its own kind of business where you need to create a proper pipeline.
Yeah, that's a great point. Infinity, I see your hand still up. I don't know if it was just from the past one or.
It's just from the past.
All right, all good. Well, this is a great segue to the most fun question for me, which is what kind of markets can we expect on Outcome? Right now, we have Bitcoin, and I guess we have multi-outcome Bitcoin, but you guys already mentioned sports. Gio mentioned politics. Are you guys going to take over everything that Polymarket has to offer? What can you tell me right now in terms of what you guys are planning on offering?
Yeah, I mean, look, we still do not know exactly how permissionless deployment is going to work here. So we can't say for certain that this is what we're going to do. But let's make up a dream where permissionless deployment goes exactly the way we want it, right? We can deploy whatever we want right out the floodgates. We have every single category locked. We have all the data providers that we need. We have every single market that we could possibly launch ready. I mean, we update this document every other day based on the real world events coming up, sports matches coming up, political elections coming up, uh, data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Fed, of every major country. I mean, we we have a list right now of over 1,500 markets that if Hyperliquid said tomorrow we can deploy, we can launch them all in every single category. We're not held back anywhere.
Wow, that is wild. 1,500 markets. So everything, pretty much everything is what you're telling me
Everything.
is on the table. That's super cool. So you mentioned, that you still don't know this is going to come soon. When do you expect, kind of the full blown anybody can deploy a HIP4? Uh, and I know this is not like we don't know, but when do you anticipate, I guess, this is going to be possible? Whoever wants to take this.
Yep, I can take that one then. So the concept of permissionless deployment is probably going to be quite similar to HIP-3. When we look at HIP-4 right now, what the Hyperliquid team did is, of course, they launched it on testnet first, and then they launched it on mainnet, so that essentially the team makes sure that everything is working right. Now the team, we expect the team to not take up all markets, or sort of probably just stick to Bitcoin and hype, and then launch permissionless deployment right after that. Now, permissionless deployment itself might be a phased rollout, where first the Oracle source has to be possibly a data source from Hyperliquid itself, and then there's going to be other sort of concepts that means that we can deploy any sort of market that we want. We don't know when it's going to be honest. The Hyperliquid team likes to just stick to public announcements and stick to that sort of decentralized playbook, which we of course appreciate and respect. But hopefully we will see it in the near future.
You got to give me a month, man.
I would love to
Next
tell you a
month
month
for
so
the new month.
that we can have the World Cup. I would love to tell you. I mean, we have
Oh,
everything
for the
prepared for the
World
World
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah, that would be so cool. You're right, man.
Yeah,
I'd love to. Oh,
that
that's a good one.
that would be amazing. Yeah.
Speaking, I guess, of these, well, okay, so coming soon, TM, as we all know, Hyperliquid team ships, so and they're full of surprises, so hopefully sooner rather than later, perhaps towards the World Cup. My question is, you guys mentioned so many markets. Are you at all concerned? But I guess you are market makers, so this is something that comes on, top of your head. But uh, about the liquidity aspect or kind of having
Yeah.
that yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually going to clarify this. So, when I said that we are ready to deploy over 1,500 markets, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to deploy them all. Something else that Polymarket is doing, which we don't want to, is they're deploying thousands of markets at the same time, uh, which really fragments liq- liq- liquidity, right? So we really want to focus on the top markets, ones we think will perform well, ones we know users actually would want to trade, rather than let's say 1,000 markets at a given time.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy because it does get fragmented, and if you've ever traded some of the more obscure stuff on Polymarket, you get like horrendous slippage on it. You buy something, you pay twice the price for it. Um, so that to me makes a lot of sense. Very cool. So, we were talking a bit about liquidity, so
I
that to
just
me
wanna
seems. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I just sorry to cut you off. I want to hand it over to Guillaume there. He's been working quite indefinitely on the liquidity side, so he can kind of address
Oh, go
what
ahead,
we're
Guillaume.
looking to cook on that side as well. We can't share too much, but he will share what we can.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So with a lot of market makers, I mean, a lot of the liquidity that comes from these exchanges that you see, a lot of it is sort of algorithmic, right? So there's a lot of institutions that are putting in orders and making sure that the books stay liquid. Now, with prediction markets, there's a few things that market makers and institutions stay wary of, which is number one, like one of them is resolution, of course, if market makers do hold their positions in a sort of directional position. If resolution doesn't work out right, then essentially you can bite them back. The other thing is a cold start problem and just the book's not being liquid enough, right? So the environment itself is the problem. With Hyperliquid, we're kind of solving that. So we do have things like cancer prioritization, speed bumps, which make the whole trading environment for institutions a lot more sort of convenient, essentially. And we've been speaking to some of the largest market makers that are out there across TradFi and crypto. And the feedback that we gathered from a lot of them is that the the platform itself kind of fragments their own liquidity also. So when they have to hedge across two different platforms, like I think Infinite AK mentioned that before, it's that you essentially split your margin right across those two platforms, and also the environment itself is not the best for trading. So we have a lot of sort of strategies and also a lot of things cooking up in the background. I don't want to say too much of what we're actually doing because we have to make sure that we publicly announce that first. And Megan Infinite AK would kill me if I say too much. But there's a lot of things that we're solving on that side to make sure that Hyperliquid or HIP4 specifically, our contracts are going to be the most liquid prediction market slash options venue that you have seen anywhere across DeFi, to be honest. There's a lot cooking in the background, and we're solving many issues such as the cold start problem that prediction markets have.
Nice. Thanks for this. Um, I believe Infinity mentioned unified portfolio margin at the beginning of the space, and I kind of wanted to get back to this because we are talking about liquidity here. Um, what kind of strategy do you guys anticipate, or what interesting hedge or strategy you're expecting power users to be deploying using all these new tools, these new features that Hyperliquid recently implemented? I don't know, maybe Infinity you want to go, and then Mig or Gio. I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about the liquidity topic, so I can dive a bit more deeper in that. So when we look at the markets that we will deploy that are kind of in the Hyperliquid ecosystem itself, like native Hyperliquid users, a lot of them do want to see hedging possible across different venues that are kind of like trigger events, right? So there's a lot of builders that have built great tools on top of it, such as Pair Protocol. If you're familiar with them, essentially what they're doing at the moment is they're using Polymarket for trigger events, and then they can go long or short directionally. It's kind of all automated. So super cool tools that these builders are building. But also, like, institutions and traders natively on Hyperliquid want to do that without kind of going to different venues, right? With essentially a platform that they're very familiar with already. So we might see things like longing Bitcoin and then on HIP4 going short as kind of like a hedge, like a essentially protecting your downward risk. So we will see this not only with the same underlying asset, but we will probably see this also with cross-related events. So for example, you might have the underlying asset of oil that you're trading, but then you want to make sure that a trigger event such as the Strait of Hormuz is going to protect your downside. Which means that a user could go long on oil or short on oil, but then also have the opposite side of that trigger on an event that's correlated. So the underlying asset doesn't have to be correlated, but the event itself can create a correlation in these contracts. So there's a lot of great things that we've been talking about and discussing with traders, builders, and institutions. Because the main issue here with liquidity is also figuring out a fair value of what is the actual fair value on an event, on a real world event that has no underlying asset like Bitcoin or S&P 500 or something.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of fancy, complicated but super interesting strategies people come up with combining HIP4 with perhaps HIP3. I'm sure we're going to see some cool shit coming up. Yeah. So, on the next topic, now that we talked about liquidity, you guys already have lots of users. I mean, I think you guys are breaking barriers. I'm hoping y'all get to, 10 million, 100 million trading volumes going up and up on Outcome. Right now, it's mostly Bitcoin trading, but wondering how people can get involved today with Outcome. So, what would you say for them that they need to participate right now today? Maybe we can start with Infinity. There we go, and then we'll go to Mig and then Gil.
Yeah, I mean, you saw even in our testnet, we were doing some great numbers there in terms of user acquisition. I mean, before HIP4 came out and we had to move to mainnet, we had over 200,000 users in our testnet. And even in the first week, breaking over $1 million in volume was such a great feeling because, to be completely honest, we didn't really focus on the volume right now or user acquisition right now because we know that we are just a front end right now, and our real um, expertise and unique selling point starts to kick in when we deploy our own contracts, and that's when we expected really to have a big surge in volume and user acquisition, but uh, we see that right now too. Now we know that is going to be exponentially higher when we deploy our own contracts, but it's super encouraging to see that people are supporting us. People do like our product. It feels nice to know that we are doing something right here. And how could people get involved? It's super easy to use Outcome. If you are interested in prediction markets, try out our interface. I'm sure you would love it. Right now, it only has two markets: Bitcoin multi-outcome and Bitcoin up and down. But it's sort of the beginning of what outcome could really be. Give us feedback in our Discord or on X, and we'll always try our best to make it better and better.
Yeah. Do join their Discord. Give them lots of feedback on X. You can already trade on their website to Outcome.xyz. Mig, do you want to add anything else for the folk at home that want to get involved in Outcome today?
Yeah, yeah. I just want to highlight that we're very early here. And we as a team are really, really dedicated to dominating the prediction market space. Like, we really value how important prediction markets will be 10 years, 20 years, 50 years down the line. And we are definitely trying to ensure in the background that we are one of the winning teams once the dust settles, or kind of this popularity of prediction markets kind of go to a norm. There's a lot of cool features that we're working on. And when we become deployers, that's when the real fun starts, because our contracts, it is not only going to be on our front end, but we're also going to be able to tap into Hyperliquid's builder codes distribution. And all of these major platforms that are already connected to Hyperliquid are going to get the chance to use our contracts. And once we enable large liquidity, large institutions or high net worth individuals can place 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure positions in our books and hopefully get filled. That's where we're moving towards. If you want to get started early on, we have some exciting things coming up. So just join and deposit and make a couple trades. We see everything.
Nice. There's a lot to unpack there, by the way. I am gonna ask. I don't know who's the weakest link here. Maybe Geo is the weakest link, or maybe Mig. I'm not sure, but I am gonna ask the points question. So, and I don't know if y'all gonna answer this question at all. You don't have to. But I'm gonna just throw it out there. If anybody wants to comment on some sort of outcome points in the back end that perhaps are gonna lead to something, maybe.
Just stay tuned. That's all we can say. Just there's no points right now, but just stay tuned.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, do play with it. Perhaps stay tuned. There might be some points, perhaps not, but just enjoy it. And looking forward to kind of playing with all the markets once they deploy. Mig, you mentioned something that also I think Hyperliquid is very proud of, which is the builder codes and the integration with most recently Trust Wallet, the competitor, right? But let's not forget Phantom, which I use, and going to give a shout out to the native markets apps. They have one that's called Markets, pretty cool. So there's lots of there's a lot of apps that use builder codes. So do you anticipate people using these builder codes and perhaps Phantom, which already has a prediction markets, partner, as well as Rabby, I think also has one. MetaMask has one, right? So, do you anticipate these wallets, which have incredible distribution, the kind of, they already have Hyperliquid perps. Why not Hyperliquid prediction markets?
I think a lot of these kind of builder codes users, if they're using both Hyperliquid and another kind of prediction market that's not going to be HIP-4, need to tackle very big problems, which is the user experience problem of splitting their kind of funds between two different kind of blockchains or two different kind of protocols. If HIP-4 is the way that we imagine, and we can deploy as many contracts, and we give a similar venue to a lot of these kind of traders, then I think it will be second nature to switch, as a lot of these guys are doing super successful already from the HIP-4 builder codes. I mean, Phantom, what was it, 22 million in the last year? That's an
Free money.
insane business model for them.
Yeah, they don't do anything, right? Like, I mean, a little bit of front end work, all the back end's handled by Hyperliquid. Free money for them, so I'm sure they're happy about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
I don't know how much they make off Polymarket, quite frankly, but I can't believe it's going to be more than what Hyperliquid offers. That's just my 2 cents. Gio, any thoughts on this? Any thoughts on, I guess, distribution once the markets launch, right? Polymarket and Kalshi do have some great distribution. I mean, all the sports games have some sort of marketing, they have a Polymarket logo or Kalshi logo there. How are you guys planning to get that distribution? I mean, obviously the Hyperliquid fam is going to support you, but outside Hyperliquid, basically.
Yeah, when we think about Outcome, we kind of have to think about it in 2 different distribution channels. So obviously Outcome.xyz is the user-facing interface and the application, right, for web and mobile. So that's where the end user will jump on, make their predictions. And then we have the other side of distribution, which is us as a deployer. So that's our second business, right, where we want to power all of these different infrastructure that are infrastructures such as wallets, interfaces, prime brokers that are all consumer facing, right? So we see it kind of more of a strategic play from our side is making sure that both of these distribution channels are taken care of as much as possible. Now, of course, when you look at Polymarket and Kalshi, I mean, these guys raise at billions and billions of dollars. So we're not there yet. We're completely bootstrapped and we've built everything from scratch. Now, we are planning to go super aggressive. So of course, it doesn't mean that we don't have anything in our back pocket. We are planning to go very aggressive with many things that we're excited to share in the future. But I think like Mig said, that it's going to be kind of a natural shift, right? User experience is super important for all of these wallets. These wallets don't want to fragment their users' attention and they don't want to overcomplicate things. If I'm a MetaMask user or Phantom user, I don't want to have to bridge my funds between 2 different platforms every single time and then take a slippage loss, get some complications, different interfaces. So it kind of makes sense naturally.
Nice. Looking forward to another thing that costs money. People don't want to talk about a lot is regulations. I think it's kind of important for these prediction markets, right? Kalshi being yada yada approved in the US. How do you guys plan to tackle this kind of regulation angle for prediction markets? And you can share whatever you're comfortable sharing. Maybe Mig, we can start with you, and then we'll go to Gio.
I mean, it's very early doors for us. Once we are deployers, obviously we'll be a decentralized entity, and in the future, you know, we might go down that route. We haven't kind of decided ourselves, but we're happy to be a decentralized kind of protocol, especially the idea on how successful Hyperliquid has become on just being a decentralized entity themselves. And we believe in DeFi as a team. But yeah, we've had kind of these discussions internally quite a lot. But at the moment, it's what we're happy to be just a decentralized protocol. Maybe Guillaume wants to add to that.
No, I think you're right on the money, but I think also regulations will get clearer. Like, for example, the CFTC is currently fighting to make sure that prediction markets are essentially on their table, right? So there's going to be a lot more clarity in the future for prediction markets. We've spoken to a couple of folks and teams across the prediction market space who want to tackle the US specifically and making sure that they can grow and scale the user base in the US. That's not our target at the moment. Like Mick said, our focus is more of being a decentralized protocol here. But I think we'll see where regulations go on that side. Prediction markets are growing quite rapidly, so there's probably going to be more clarity on regulations very soon.
Yeah, I hope so too as well. And pretty exciting news seeing that Circle/Coinbase, I think they're the same company at this point. It seems to me with the USDC push on Hyperliquid, plus the Hyperliquid Policy Center, all these kind of players are pretty experienced in lobbying and regulation. So hopefully we get more clarity for y'all, for Hyperliquid, the perps decks, but as well for hip free deployers, hip four deployers in the very near future. So that's good news to me.
Agreed. It's very, very spectacular to be within this space, to be honest. Like, so many large institutions have kind of adopted the Hyperliquid kind of ethos, and everyone is kind of joining forces, and it's really, really clear that there is no second best. Like, Hyperliquid has really, really kind of shown that, and we really want to kind of follow on that from the prediction market space, and show why certain things should just be tackled better. And when it is tackled better, people will choose you.
Love it. Yeah, everybody's so bullish. I mean, we started, it was 42.5. It's for 43.4 now. So, I think everybody's bullish on this news. Okay, let's get to some fun questions before I close the space out. Prediction markets offer so much creative freedom. So, wondering what is the weirdest market somebody asked you to do, or what is the weirdest market y'all have seen? Let's start with Mig, and then we'll go to Gio.
I think the weirdest one I saw on Polymarket was, will Clavicular be the president of Iran, something like that, which is, or be pregnant. I don't know. Polymarket do really, really weird contracts. We definitely want to stay away from those type of contracts. Our focus is on like the contracts that matter to people. I know those contracts could be good marketing angles, but we want we want prediction markets to have financial meaning. So yeah, you probably won't be seeing will Clavicular get pregnant at the end of the year from us.
Unless they use UMA, right? They're gonna resolve that. Yes, he was indeed pregnant because this, and that, right? Like they make shit up. I tell you, Gio, what is the funniest one you've seen?
Honestly, it was that clavicular one also. I mean, when we saw obviously these are more gimmicky type of contracts, which we get it. It's great for marketing, like Mick said. But that must have been the the funniest one I saw. Outside of that, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't keep up too much with these super niche contracts.
Yeah, some of them, user deployed as well, which is gets a little even crazier. But that's a completely different story. So, okay, before we close the space out, I like to, ask y'all, where do you see Outcome in a year from now? And then people are going to get really excited about it. And I hope that we can have as well a space in a year from now to kind of chat about everything that has been accomplished. So, Mig, go ahead, man. Where do you see yourselves in a year's time?
Wow, it's a good question. Where do I see Outcome in a year? So honestly, I really do see us dominating the hip four space, similar to the way the trade team did for hip three. I see us being majority of the volume, majority of the market share, majority of the mind share, and then also tapping into the market share of Polymarket and Kalshi. Um, as well as on top of all of that, I think our platform is just going to be a no-brainer place for people who like to use prediction markets, as we're going to add so many more features that aren't even on Kalshi and Polymarket yet. We want to kind of be the innovators in the space and stay ahead of the curve. We understand the space really well, and we kind of understand what the end user kind of expects. So hopefully by the end of the year, we've formulated everything that we've been working on for many months, and yeah, people just love our product.
I'm excited. Gio, go ahead, man.
I think Outcome will be the deployer that's going to power a lot of different consumer-facing applications, from wallets to prime brokers to trading interfaces, and then also hopefully centralized exchanges. The infrastructure that we're going to provide is going to be a no-brainer, to be very honest. So it's going to be kind of a natural flow of institutions moving over to not only Hyperliquid, but also Outcome's own contracts. The space itself, prediction markets, are still small. That's why we see this sort of insane growth month on month that Polymarket and Kalshi are doing. And with what we're going to add, like Mig said, the features that we're going to add are essentially going to make Outcome feel like you're just using a Web 2 application. The infrastructure in the back is going to be Web 3, of course, but anything that has to do with user experience is going to feel extremely familiar in Web 2. So we don't only think about the Hyperliquid bubble itself or the Web 3 bubble. By next year, hopefully, we will be dominating the Web 2 bubble also.
Love it. And yeah, I think Polymarket has really achieved that by being kind of abstracted from crypto. People forget the polys for Polygon, although I think they're going to move to their own chain. Anyways, on that note, really great space. I learned so much. Appreciate the time that you gave us today. So for the folks that joined a little later, as I mentioned in the beginning, the space is recorded and will be transcribed, so you can listen to time that works best for you. Go to Outcome.xyz, place some bets, maybe points, maybe not. Stay tuned. We'll see. Give Mig a follow. Give Gio a follow. Give their X account a follow as well. Leave lots of feedback in the Discord. Anything else? Closing words, Mig and Gio, that you want to share with the community, and then they'll close the space out.
Follow Infinite AK as well. He
Right, we need
definitely
to get him to 2K.
But no, yeah, it's been great. If anyone has questions, feel free to reach out on Discord. We're quite active there as founders as well. Feedback's always appreciated. We try to tailor the product to the end user. So let us know if you have any feedback.
Love it. Gio?
Honestly, just excited to build alongside our community, grow our community, and then make sure that we take HIP4 and Hyperliquid to the next level. Thank you for having us. It's been super fun.
No, thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And enjoy the rest of your day on this beautiful green day. Hyperliquid, as we say. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.